You're listening to 102.7 Chop FM, and this is ArtsTalk. Good evening. You're listening to 102.7 Chop FM, and this is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
And I'm Taylor Cross.
And this show is dedicated to seeking out and talking to the artists of Newmarket. Not just musical artists, although we always have plenty of those, but artists practicing any discipline, both amateur and professional. So if you're in Newmarket and in the arts and would like to appear on this show, then make sure you drop us a line at newmarketartscouncil@gmail.com
or you can check us out on Facebook, ArtsTalk Radio, or on YouTube as well to check out our previous shows and send us a message at either of those profiles.
Don't forget to do that. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday at 5:45 p.m. to hear good music and learn what's going on in the arts in Newmarket. Mm-hmm. Our guest this evening is musician Skip Viitala. Skip, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave and Taylor.
Glad to have you here. Now, we were talking before we came on about your locality, and you're from Toronto?
I'm originally from Northern Ontario.
From Northern Ontario?
Yes. I spent my teenage years and early 20s there, and then I moved to Toronto for 7-8 years, and then now I'm here.
What, here being Newmarket?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
The Landing. I'm in the Landing.
Oh, cool.
That's
the Landing.
Represent.
We want to learn about your background as a musician and so on. It was the move down to Toronto related to pursuing music?
No, it was totally due to my professional career.
Oh.
So I work in media, television to be exact, and the television jobs in Northern Ontario were drying up and all moving to Toronto. So I just followed the flow.
Very nice.
Were you on air?
Nope. I'm a technical director.
Are you? And it sounds like
that's fancy.
A heck of a title. What does a technical director do?
I make magic happen on television.
Yes.
Magician.
I press buttons and do a lot of things on computers and make it nice for you to watch at home.
And make the on-air talent look good.
Yeah.
So
That's it too. Oh yeah.
That's
I work for a small company called Rogers.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're going to be big one day.
Yeah.
So
they keep at it, they'll be big.
Yeah. So I'm pretty lucky.
Very good.
Fingers crossed.
Busy.
Fingers crossed
So
that they get big
busy.
one day.
Yeah, that's a good way to make a living. Is that what you took in school?
Yes, I took broadcasting in school.
So that turned out to be a good idea.
But broadcasting started out as a hobby. I volunteered at my local radio station in Sudbury, and then when I moved to Thunder Bay to go to university, I volunteered there at their radio station. And after a year of university, I decided to forget my major and just go into radio and television broadcasting at the college there in Thunder Bay, and haven't looked back since. So,
when did you first get into music?
In my teens, in my high school years. The first band I was in was a skiffle group called Skin Bus, and we were a band that was just made up of people, volunteers from the radio station, and we were getting together to actually play the folk festival that I was just at this past weekend called Northern Lights Festival Boreal. We were trying to get on the open stage, and we just formed a band out of whoever was around. And I became the percussionist. I played washboard and snare.
Oh, that's so cool. Washboard.
And we had a harmonica player, a guy who just played tambourine. That's all he did. And we had another guy who sang and, of course, played acoustic guitar. And then we had an accordion player.
That's amazing.
And he used to jump around, too. So it was quite the scene to see him, have this huge instrument and jump around and stuff. And it was skiffle, like the Beatles started out as a skiffle group.
Yeah.
That's the best comparison I could make, because it was very hokey folky kind of stuff, I guess. Like it wasn't electric. Like it was all acoustic. No.
Like it was a treat to hear.
But a lot of the beatnik hippie groups seemed to like us a lot. We got a lot of bookings out of doing the festival. So
did you?
That was the kickstart to it all, and I was only 16 or 17 at the time.
Wow.
So then I had to start sneaking into bars to do shows and things like that. And
you were something of an aficionado?
No. I just had a good sense of rhythm. and no one else wanted to do it.
So you count to 4 and bang that.
Yeah, and that's the way it's been pretty much since. I'm a self-taught drummer. I've drummed in a zillion bands since, and completely self-taught, never taken a drum lesson in my life, and, just influenced by other artists that I've seen play, and, other popular drummers.
Like who? Who stands out when people ask you who your big influences are?
For drumming, well, definitely Stuart Copeland or from the Police. I was just watching this thing on Ringo Starr the other day, and I'm like, yeah, because the first drum kit I owned was it looked like one of the Ringo's kits from that era, so I used to think of drumming him. But like my favorite bands, like the Specials, the drummer from there, who just passed away, and the drummer from the Replacements, Chris Mars, was also a good influence. Those were the albums I would listen to, and try and mimic what I was hearing. So like the Police was a big influence. The Specials, Replacements.
So interesting.
Like that.
Not your straight up 4/4 AC/DC kind of 4 on the floor music that you were trying to emulate.
No, I would never say that I'm Stuart Copeland.
I think.
But it's, you gotta aim for the stars, and maybe you'll get the moon. So.
It's surprising that at some point you didn't say to yourself, a little technical instruction might help me.
Yeah. Well, I kind of 5-6 years ago I got more into bass playing, and the sort of drumming sort of just petered out to zero, and I actually sold my drums to buy another bass.
Wow.
And only since last September I got back into drumming, and at that point I was at my first show, one of my first shows drumming again, and I was complaining about getting blisters on my hands with all the sticks, and the drummer was like, "How are you holding them?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's all wrong." I'm like, I was just going by what I thought I remember doing, 4 or 5 years ago. He's like, "No, you're holding them all wrong." And I was like, "Oh," so he gave me a quick lesson on holding them. I hadn't even had a lesson.
Well, that's good, though.
In the zillion years of drumming, I hadn't even had a lesson on how to hold sticks properly. So I was like, "Oh." I just did what worked. That worked. If it gave me blisters,
it
gave me blisters.
That's not so nice.
No.
Probably shows the technique's a little off, maybe.
Yeah, but it's also, I find with my the current punk band I'm in, the Mida Bins, it's I get a lot of blisters from no matter how I hold the sticks. I'm getting blisters because it's very energetic and hard hitting, and I could play a whole night of ska or reggae on the drum kit and not be worse for wear for doing it. But for some reason, punk rock it kills my hands.
Is ska drumming kind of fast?
Yeah,
I always thought
but
but punk is pretty fast. Like Zach, our drummer in Hysterics, is like he does it really well, but there's a few songs where it's just like, holy crap, that is some fast drumming.
Fast, yes.
He's never talked about blisters.
Ska's a little more about the offbeat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Super cool. And Dave's a drummer
One
here
and two,
too.
and one and two, and right like that.
yeah.
It's
It's fast reggae.
Yeah, it's fast reggae.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
the downstroke is on the 2 rather than the 1. Is that how you think of it, or do you even think about it that way?
I don't normally think too much about it. I grew up as a teenager. I had 2 really close friends, and both their moms were heavy into reggae music, and I didn't even know until later in my teens that it was actually a genre of music. Like I just liked it.
Right.
I always heard it every time I went over to visit them and play. And then someone one day was like, "Hey, I didn't know you liked ska." And I'm like, what is ska? And they're like, this is ska. And I'm like, "Oh, you mean like Madness?" Or,
It's just the stuff I like.
yeah, or like Bob Marley is reggae? Yeah, sure, I like him. Yeah, I've always been listening to Bob Marley. But.
Ska really had a moment, right, in the 90s, I guess, with Madness and the Specials. There were a bunch of bands. There was Stand Down Margaret and a bunch of songs that were big radio hits. And then it isn't really having a moment anymore. Would you say? I mean, you don't really hear on popular rock radio.
Well, there's a band called Magic that has reggae. It's reggae fusion. They have elements of ska. It's always there. The era you're referring to is the two-tone era, which is the early 80s.
Early 80s.
There's basically been. I'm a big ska guy. I do a ska radio show online. It's syndicated. Anyway.
And two-tone because the bands tended to be black and white musicians? Is that what that?
Yeah, that was part of, and black and white, unity, the melding of the two, Jamaican, it was Jamaican culture coming to Britain at the time and melding, getting into that melting pot. But ska, was born in the early '60s in Jamaica, and Bob Marley was first a ska artist. Same with Toots and the Maytals. Desmond Decker. Prince Buster was the biggest name back then, and then there was a really hot summer, much like today in Newmarket. There was a really hot summer, and the artists in Jamaica it was so hot they actually started to slow things down, and that's how rocksteady was born and reggae was born, because it got so hot. So they had like three crazy really hot summers in a row, and they were just like they wanted to bring it down the tempo.
180 beats a minute, forget it.
Yeah, exactly. That's how reggae was born, more or less. It got hot and it slowed down.
I like that.
But,
I had no idea that's how it was.
But people don't realize that they've been listening to ska all their life. Like Obla Di Obla Da by the Beatles is a ska song. If you listen closely to other songs throughout popular music throughout time, there's ska influences there. Wooly Bully is another one I always bring up. There's a ska beat in there. There's a ska riff in there. These are songs that your parents grew up with, that you probably heard growing up. And then the specials were huge in the '80s. That was the second wave of popularity of ska, and Madness and English Beat and Bad Manners and Fishbone, and that sort of evolved into the third wave of ska, which happened in the '90s, which brought us No Doubt, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Sublime, things like that. And we're sort of the waves, the cresting of the ska popularity has sort of stopped, and it's just sort of there's always there. There's sort of an undercurrent of that. That's why we see bands like Magic, or there's a certain popularity to things like now, like Slackers are very popular. I brought them into town last November to play a show in Barrie. Things like that.
This is ArtsTalk on 102.7 Chocolate
Yeah.
FM. I'm Taylor Cross.
It's not.
Dave Peters.
And we are in conversation with ska expert Skip Viitala.
It's not all about ska, is
He's
it?
a ska
I could
expert.
talk about any. It's the genre of music I love the most. That's why I do the syndicated radio show, and that's why I love playing bass and drums in ska bands. And
Where can people find your radio show, Skip?
they can just Google Ska Party.
Ska Party?
The links show up. Right now it's syndicated on 8 channels across Canada, and one based out of Seattle. It's a weekly 1-hour show. It gets played. Some of the stations play it numerous times
That's
as
fantastic.
well.
Excuse me for being rude, but
No.
is it monetarily rewarding?
No.
It's all sort of
I just do it for the love. Yeah.
Because Taylor and I are budding on radio stars, and we are wondering when we're going to be able to monetize this.
So probably never.
We're doing it for love right now.
Yeah.
We are. Pure love.
It's getting into almost my 3rd decade of radio. I don't think it's going to happen.
Decade of radio.
I have the professional job that allows me to do the things I love, right?
Yeah.
So,
It is important, yes.
it could lead you into a career doing it, and then you could do the radio that you love.
I think though the place to be in the broadcast business and the media business is where you are, though, is in the technical or production end of it. Isn't that a little safer place to be than being on this end of it?
On the air?
On the air? No?
Yeah, I would say that's a general good statement.
Like if you were advising a youngster in high school who was interested in a career in media, would you say follow the route towards being a technical director? Or
I would say keep your options open, learn as much as you can about every aspect of the media industry, and when you get out of your post-secondary education, wherever the chips lie, when you throw the darts at the wall, just be flexible and let it happen, right? Like that was when they kicked us out the door out of college, that was one of the things that they told us too, like, don't be afraid to go to Nunavut, don't be afraid to go to Newfoundland or do like I had to, like some of the things I did early on in my career were crazy. Like, I had to clean off snow off the station roof one day because we had a blizzard and we couldn't broadcast, things like that, or, just running tape or, not doing anything that was very highly technical at first, and volunteering as much as possible and getting the experience up. You know, like the radio really helped me become the technical director that I am now. I'm not afraid of a board with a lot of buttons or, you know,
Right.
things like that.
Good advice.
So yeah, just you know, I lucked into my job because I was right place, right time, and I had the right skill set, and it was just one of many skill sets I had at the time, and they just identified that as something they really needed.
Yeah, and I think luck's a big determinant of most things. But I've also sort of said that luck is a function of opportunity meaning preparedness. So there's this,
exactly what you just said. You
An element of
prepared
that,
yourself
too.
in all sorts of different ways, yeah. And
And
we're open to different, yes.
Open-minded.
I would have loved to have been a musician.
we all
I know.
well, we all are musicians, but
Yes,
Paid
but
musicians?
lucrative.
Yeah.
That would have been wonderful.
Making a living.
Yes.
Yeah, to replace the living you currently make at Rogers with a musician would be very tall order.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's, you know, it's there.
It can be done.
It can be done. We're still trying.
It has to be
positivity.
a heck of a big ska band to do that.
But I have lots of influences because we're not even going to play a ska song here. I
We're
don't
not?
think.
Oh, I was going to
Let's
say,
go
I thought we'd
towards
maybe hear
this
some stuff. So
style,
the first
This is-
one we have queued up is I'm Not Sorry. So I understand that you're in a couple of different bands. Is this one of them?
Yeah, this is one of my current bands. This is Ausfunkt. We're based out of Toronto. It's the first time I've ever drummed I've played bass in a drummerless band.
Yeah. It's on his laptop, right?
It's a guy on his laptop.
Oh,
I'm on the bass. I'm holding down the bass lines. And each song basically has a sort of general idea of how it's supposed to go. And every time we perform, it's a little bit different because we allow for the flexibility of doing things differently and exploring where the song might go. So it's me on the bass. We either bring in a female singer guitarist or a male singer guitarist.
who are they? You want to give them a shout out?
Oh yeah, Blake and Jen, and they both have different styles, but they both know the songs equally as well. And then we have Joseph on his laptop doing effects and beats and things, and it's a very organic experience. Well, let's play a song and we'll talk more about it. And this is a very Canadian song we're about to play. This is,
Nice.
All right, this is Ausfunk. Am I pronouncing
yeah,
that right?
Ausfunkt. I don't even know where the name came from.
UNKT, Ausfunkt with I'm Not Sorry on 102.7 Chop FM.
not sorry. Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. Sorry? I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being sorry about being sorry. I'm just sorry. 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 So sorry. Very sorry. Very, very sorry. I said I'm sorry. So sorry. Very sorry. I'm so, so sorry.
I'm Not Sorry by Ausfunkt on
yeah.
102.7 Chop FM. This is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Cross.
And we are in conversation with the bass player from Ausfunkt,
Chop.
Skip Viitala.
I forgot it was called Chop.
Chop.
Chop FM.
Chop FM.
That's awesome.
That's right.
That could lead to so many like great chopping things. Anyway, my
Yeah, I
my
think-
creative self is already going like, oh, that's be awesome. Hiya! You know.
I think Pickering
Everybody was
Rock
kung fu
did
fighting.
the
I don't know.
call letters and they Chop was available at the time. They set this place up.
The P, I guess, goes with Pickering too, so that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they liked. So Ausfunkt is a live performing band as well as a recording band. It sounded like we were talking off air there about some impromptu gigging that you were doing with Ausfunkt. Are you spending current time with that band?
Yeah. We have a show tomorrow night at Cherry Cola's in Toronto.
Excellent.
11:30 set, and about an hour of us doing mostly original songs. We only have one cover, so it's all basically the foundation is that I lay down the bass line, and Joseph kicks in with his drums, and we just go from there.
So
Brilliant.
it's not an acoustic drum kit. It's the Joseph on his laptop.
Yes.
So it looks a little bit like some of those 80s bands that didn't employ drummers in terms of the visual on stage.
Did they
And
have
it's-
laptops in the 80s though?
No.
No,
This
they
is
didn't have
pretty new
laptops,
school,
but they had
yeah.
computerized
It's
drum
a cool
sounds.
show. I've seen videos
Have
and
you?
it. Well, I haven't seen it live, but I've seen videos and it does look like a very cool show.
As a
Very
musician, it's definitely different. Something I had to get used to playing without a drummer to feed off of, because
Right.
bass and drums feed off of each other, and it's like there's just he's on his laptop. It's like almost like
But
you know,
he's dancing,
I'm
right?
like
You
it's
do
almost
that.
like okay, yeah, just keep going. I'm gonna be on my phone.
It's strange.
I'm just gonna tap my phone while you do the bass line.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never actually seen anybody do it that way. So is he manipulating the software if he wants to do a fill? He presses a button and says, "Okay, play a fill here." How does that work?
I don't know. I'm too busy playing my
Yeah.
my stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's got a couple pads and but it's mostly a laptop with triggers and things, and
So there's yourself, there's Joseph on the laptop, and then
tomorrow night will be Jen on vocals and guitar. So she'll lay down a few effects and riffs on the guitar as we're doing our stuff, and eventually she'll start singing.
is there a degree of improvisation in this, or is it?
Oh yeah, to the live shows, definitely. Yeah, there is. There's just a basic genesis of what the song should be, and we just sort of stretch it out for live shows until we feel as though it's exhausted itself.
So the digital element of it doesn't impose anything on it any different than an acoustic drummer would.
No,
Oh.
exactly.
So I've got,
It's a very unique
a
thing.
little out of touch with that. Are you a digital?
No,
person
I mean,
that
like I like listening to stuff that's probably drum machines or electronic. I like
Yeah.
some electronic music, yeah. But I've never played in a band like that before, and I think it would be hard to, because there is an energy on stage when you're all playing.
Sure.
But then in the videos, he looks like he's dancing, so maybe there's.
I'm always dancing. You
Oh,
gotta look like.
and Joseph too on the
Yeah,
laptop, right?
yeah,
He's bouncing
yeah.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got some moves behind the.
Oh yeah, we're not stationary by any stretch of the imagination. And basically, also my musical philosophy too is to never be that way on stage ever. So whether
Yeah,
it was
it should be
whether it was
visually
drumming or
engaging.
bass playing, I'm always 110% with my energy. So
That's important.
It's
I love
really
it.
important. Otherwise, you might as well just be listening to the radio or whatever.
well, if you don't look like you're having fun, how can you expect others to be having fun
That's
watching
true.
you?
Yeah, very well
It's
said.
my kind of
Very well
philosophy.
said. Is the next track also Ausfunkt?
It is. It's not as Canadian as the I'm not sorry. Sorry,
Oh, I
I'm
get
not
that
sorry.
Canadian joke now.
It's
That's-
sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Signal to noise is more about modern communication. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
And when we before we play the song, are you the primary songwriter in the band, Skip, or
No, Joseph is.
Joseph?
And Joseph and whoever, I think Joseph and Blake collaborated on the genesis of this song.
Will he tend to come to you with just the beat and ask
Yep.
for you to
Yeah.
contribute the bass line?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
Creating something out of nothing.
I love that. Yeah. Well, that's the dream. Like we talked earlier about drumming influences, and one of my bass influences is Peter Hook, and I find that I could bring Peter Hook from New Order. I could bring a lot of what I got out of being a Peter Hook fan into Ausfunkt.
Do you like
So-
New Order more than Joy Division?
That's hard.
You said New Order first, so I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I love Peter Hook. I'm going to go see him again for the third time in
Oh, nice.
November.
Cool.
I'm actually going to go see him in Montreal and Toronto because he's doing both the New Order Substance and the Joy Division Substance
That's
albums.
pretty amazing. That'd
And he
be
does.
Awesome.
He has a great band behind him. He can't sing
I was gonna say,
like
he
Bernard
is
Summer,
singing, yeah.
but
Is he singing?
yeah, he is singing. But that aside, it's it's a great show. They're great
Cool.
musicians, and you get to see Peter Hook and his son on stage, Jack, which is cool. And there's two bass players, which is awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah, you never get to see two
No,
bass players.
Never.
No.
Never. See,
Never.
two drummers
Two
sometimes.
drummers all the
Yeah.
time, 3 guitar players all
All
the
the time, yeah.
But and 2 keyboard players all the time, but never 2 bass players.
And father son. It's
That's
a
pretty
great
amazing.
it's a great show, and they're doing basically it's a greatest hits tour this time around. So
Nice.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that.
So I guess he owns the rights to that music.
Well, he wrote it, co-wrote it.
I
So
guess he co-wrote it, yeah.
yeah.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
All right, let's
All
go
right.
to Ausfunkt with Signal to Noise
Signal
on
to
102.7 Drop FM.
Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Processing. Processing. Signal to noise. Processing. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Technology. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Process. Processor sync. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Processing. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Processing. Information. Regurgitation. Information. Regurgitation. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. The process of singing. Information. Overload. Information. Regurgitation. Signal to noise. Technology. 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 Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Shallow. Thinker. Signal to noise processor. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise. Signal to noise technology.
Signal to Noise by Ausfunkt on 102.7 Chop FM. This is Arts Talk. I'm Taylor Koss.
I'm Dave Peters.
And we are in conversation with Skip Viitala.
Time is flying. It's already 20 after 6.
Yeah.
It's already been 35 minutes of this. And we haven't even gotten started. We just talked about one or two things, really.
know.
And there's only like 20 others.
You got to pick up the pace here.
I actually emailed myself how many bands I've been in so I wouldn't forget to talk about how many bands I've been in.
Have been in or are currently in?
Been in, currently in, whatever.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the number? What does your email tell you?
What I'm currently in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing the bass with Ausfunkt.
Yeah.
I'm also the second bass player for Toronto-based reggae band Feeling the One Drop. They have a main bass player, but I'm if you can't do a show, then
The backup guy?
I'm the backup guy. I'm also the backup guy on drums and bass for Frankie Fu and the Yo-Yo Smugglers, which is a ska jazz group based out of Toronto. They also play Grossman's Tavern the last Friday of every month in Toronto. They have a regular gig there,
I thought Grossman's
and
was
they
closing.
do. We've done some street festival stuff this summer, of course, and things like that. It's been a lot of fun. They're old friends of mine. Getting back to the ska. So
How many are we up to there? Is that 4 or 5? Is that 4?
Was that three?
Three.
3.
Drumming with the Mighty Bins. They're a punk band based out of Toronto.
4.
And one of my high school buddies wants me to join his band.
You said, oh, you got tons of bandwidth for that.
I can't even remember what they're called. Atomic, something like that. Yeah.
So
They're rocking.
all these bands are active currently playing gigs. So you're out every night of the week pretty much?
Yeah. No, I try to set aside. I once upon a time I tried to fill up my time as much as possible with music, but I've tried to get it more equality happening, not creating as much downtime as music time and work time and stuff, and trying to create some balance in my life. Because I think for a while there, because I was having so much fun playing bass, I kind of got skewed where I was too busy. I was playing with as many people as, because I had just learned bass, and I was having so much fun with it. I was finally sort of getting a sense of creative and artistic freedom and joy from not being behind a drum kit anymore. I was trying to expose myself to as many experiences as I can. So I was, trying to play with, a country band, playing in a whole bunch of cover bands, trying to do folk music, punk rock, alternative rock, ska, reggae, whatever it was I could get my hands on. I was just trying to be a sponge and soak it all in and try and do as much as I could. And I think at some point I maxed out at about 7 or 8 bands I was playing with to some extent.
That's kind of
That's
And
insane,
actually,
yeah.
I currently too, I should mention, I'm also playing with a couple singer-songwriters so they will book a small cafe or pub show, and I'll be their bass player, percussionist, accompany
Nice.
them. And that's what's going on this Friday in Barrie at the Gastropub. I'm accompanying Haley Caro.
Oh, nice.
She's
She's
originally
she plays
from here
bass
too.
in Black Dog Ballroom, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
she also
She's
plays in
very
Black
cool.
Dog.
Yeah.
Pop.
She's another bass player.
Ah.
Yes. But
And she has great songs of her own, and she has
Yeah.
great voice. And we connected at an open mic here in Newmarket once upon a time, and we were co-hosting it for a long time too. And that has now ended, but we continue on as a duo, and we play a couple of venues we have
Very nice.
good relationships with.
That's nice.
So
So
a little rotation we do. It's acoustic country pop rock. A couple of her originals, a lot of covers. We just have fun. We try to, we'll pick a song and we'll kind of twist it a bit so it's not quite like the original, but
That's always nice to hear when people.
it's different, right? It's like we'll make a pop song more country. We'll make a country song more pop or folky or something.
Nice, yeah, totally. It's always good to hear people's own takes on cover songs that you've heard many times. So that's good. Yeah.
personally, think that's the best way to do it, rather
Yeah.
than trying to be note for note.
Yeah.
Well, there's that thing too where you get about a third of the way through the song and they're like, "Oh," the audience goes, "I know
Right?
this song."
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's what they're playing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun for the audience, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh,
Why is this chorus? Why do I know this
wow,
chorus?
yeah, this is familiar. I don't. Yeah. I don't think I've heard Katy Perry done this way.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool.
So yeah, what's
what
the
is-
next band? Yeah, what are
Yeah,
we
let's
what are we
talk about the
listening to
next
next band? Bye. This is the song we're gonna listen to.
This was my
Bye-bye.
college band. We were called the Raisin Farmers. I went to
Raisin
college in
Farmers.
Thunder Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still good buddies with the other two members of the band. We were just, I was just me on the drums. I was stand-up drumming, which was awesome. I could jump around and play drums. So there's no bass drum involved. I was just hitting some cymbals, snares, and other percussion things that I could get my hands on at the time. And the two of them were playing acoustic guitars. And we were featured on a local television show. I forget what it was called, but they were nice enough to record us. And
Oh,
this is one
nice.
of the songs that came out of that recording.
Very cool. This is by, that is BYE, on 102.7 Chop FM.
Raisin Farmers.
Raisin Farmers.
Crystal had a baby, she named it Brian James. Used to be a lady, some things will never change. Gonna do it right now, she'll stand by her man. Once run away and tried to build a home. Keith is the one who keeps her from being alone. Walks through the streets with fire in her eyes. People pass her by, never see the signs. I always had a passion, now it's just dreams in the sand. Once run away and tried to build a home. Keith is the one who keeps her from being alone. Baby with her baby, she tries to find her feet. Does what she can now to keep it off the streets. Time has run out, feel that the girl is gone. Crystal had a baby, she named it Brian James. Used to be a lady, some things will never change. Gonna do it right now, she'll stand by her man.
The Raisin Farmers with with
So
him.
good to hear Jeremy's voice again on the radio.
Very, very nice.
He's a
vocal.
great singer. He was the best man at my wedding, and we're still good friends. Thunder Bay was a great scene to be a part of. And the Raisin Farmers, we had a great time back in the early 90s. And Keith, the other guitarist, has moved on. He lives in the States now, but we're still good buddies. Thanks to modern technology, we can all stay in touch now, so it's
that's
great.
nice.
And that was recorded in front of a bingo set for Thunder Bay Television for their show Up and Coming, which was a syndicated television show that they were a part of. So it got to air in different independent, at that time, television stations across Canada. So it aired in Victoria and Hamilton and Thunder Bay and some place in the Maritimes too or something.
So you were around the age of 20 at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you thinking at that time, I'm going to make a living as a musician?
No.
No, it was just for
fun.
laughs.
Just for fun. Yeah. I only started drumming because no one else really wanted to. And, we talked briefly about me being in Skin Bus, playing the washboard and snare, getting my start there. And as that was happening, I was quickly brought into a punk band because everyone was doing punk bands in high school.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to drum, so I was drumming there. And, we would do crazy things like Stompin' Tom songs in punk
Yeah, super
style,
Cool.
as well as covering Ramones and obscure things that like Descendants and Husker Du and things like that at the time, and just playing to the weirdest things like a cow field. Yeah, that comes to mind.
Just by yourselves? You're just
No, it was a graduation after party that we just played to. Someone got a flatbed trailer, and let's get everyone's bands, and we just played to. Everyone just got stupid and.
I want to play at a cow field. I feel like that'd be really nice.
That'd be great.
I'd rather stare at cows than. I mean, I like staring at people too, but cows I could pretend like, oh, they're really enjoying this. Yes,
Yeah.
come to me. Anyway,
Skip did a really great version of Sudbury Saturday Night. Wow.
right? Yeah, that's exactly what they're thinking.
These cows are really digging our stuff. These cows are moving to our music.
Yeah.
But it was great. I was just back in Sudbury actually for Northern Lights Festival Boreal this past weekend. Got to catch up with a few people that I hadn't seen in ages, and got to see a lot of great musicians. There was all kinds of styles and genres represented there this past weekend, and everything was quality. It was fantastic. Even if it wasn't my cup of tea, you still had to sit there and admire that these people were the best at what they were doing. It was,
Yeah, it's great.
crazy. And I think at one point there's 3 stages always going at the same time at Northern Lights Festival Boreal, and at one point there was a gypsy orchestra playing. There was also a 1920s sort of band playing, and then there was like electro disco band playing, super heavy duty modern. So there was all these weird things going on all at once, and that was the one point I was like, wow, sonically, like, this is fantastic. And hearing music in open air is amazing to me.
It is.
Yeah.
My ears could not get enough.
Yeah. Have you been to the Newmarket Jazz Festival here?
I was last year.
And
Yeah, it was
What'd you
good.
think?
Yeah. I was there for a day.
I thought it was similarly eclectic. They
yeah,
call it Jazz
It's,
Plus.
I know. It's
I
there's
saw
a lot of
Klezmer
festivals
band
that
there
say
last year, it's a style of music that I wouldn't necessarily listen to all the time, but you appreciate the skill and the enthusiasm when you see it.
Totally.
I think nowadays, festivals just label themselves as folk, blues, or jazz just to sort of get funding. Maybe include one person from that genre, and then whenever anyone else is welcome. As long as you're good at what you're doing, it's great.
Colin James is headlining this
Yeah.
year's festival, and I wouldn't call Colin jazz, although
Jazz.
he had that sideline band, the Little Big Band.
Yeah,
It was more, big band,
It was-
really, than
yeah.
jazz.
but that's jazz.
Yeah, I
Big
guess
band
it's
is jazz.
Big
yeah.
band, form of jazz, absolutely. So the Raisin Farmers didn't last long. Produced the one tune.
We did 5 songs in that session. We're going to play another one, actually.
Did you? Actually, is that what's
Yeah.
coming up here?
That's what's coming up next, too.
And now, is this one also with you on a stand-up percussion?
Yeah. And there's 2 times in my life that I got to do stand-up drumming, or actually 3. Yes. So Raisin Farmers was one. I was also in a rockabilly band called the Grease Marks. I got to do stand-up drumming that. We were, and also I was in a good friend of mine, King Kong Girio. He was in King Apparatus, and he's a ska guy. We had a brief little acoustic quartet for a while, and I got to do stand-up drumming in that too. All experiences were great. I used to have moves where I would 360 in the air while keeping time and kick cymbals. Nice. While I was in midair. Seriously? In time. Yeah, that's why I love doing it. I could do it, right? I could physically do it, and I could actually do it in time. So those were things those were aspects of what I loved being in those bands too. And I remember freaking out King Kong Jerry because there was one move I had where I would hit the snare and I would fling my legs up really high and hit the cymbals in time. So I want to see this. I would,
You don't stand up drum anymore?
No, well, not.
I
would love to.
Yeah, get into a band, do that, because I want to see that.
Well, the only time I've ever actually seen that was Stray Cats, right?
Yeah,
way back.
yeah. And
I didn't know they have a stand-up drummer.
Yeah, Slim Jim Dandy
cool.
put him standing up.
I only know a couple songs of theirs, but that's very cool.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if people at home on the radio could tell what I was doing or understood that
really
my
cool.
legs would go up and my hands would come down, arms would come down.
That's sort of the David Lee Roth off the drum riser kind of idea, right? The double splits in the air, except you're hitting drum.
I'm very active on the drum kit.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Or very active musically when I'm playing.
All right, so I'm sure that our guests tuning in weren't expecting more than one tune from the Raisin Farmers, but we have that.
Yes, we do.
We have lots
I'm loving
chance
it.
to see by the Raisin Farmers on ArtsTalk on 102.7 Shop FM.
Run away and leave all your troubles behind. If you don't follow me, you'll be fine. Find a chance and take it, or you'll stay. And then it won't matter anyway. If I had to do it over again and meet you another time, if I had another chance, you see, I think I'd change my mind. If you're hungry, go and make a steak. It really doesn't matter what you make. If you're bored, then go and make a change. In life, only choices rearrange. If I had to do it over again and meet you another time, if I had another chance to see, I think I'd change my mind. Change my mind.
From downtown up to them boroughs, food stamps up to them euros. You can hate, but I know that I'm thorough. I'm a track star, man, jumping over hurdles. Pop, pop, pop that kernel. Even my bubblegum tracks are eternal. Push out hot tracks, I'm fertile. It comes natural, no epidural. Pass me the girdle, I'll grab the Merlot, you grab the purple. Natural cures they don't want you to know about. Kevin Trudeau, maybe one day I'll win a Juno. This world is inferno, but I'm a mundo. My spirit will live on through my music, so you'll never have to ask, have you seen her? Let's party, cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. Oh, let's party, cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. I am the quarterback, you're only my receiver. of a birch, home of the beaver. She says she's true, but why should we believe her? She got the qualities to make a very fine leader. If your girl's acting whack, just leave her. If your man's acting whack, grab the cleaver. A female version of a hustler, a diva. Leave him alone and find you a geezer. Don't hate cause we overachievers. So on top of the world, call me Caesar. So high, think I'm gonna have a seizure. Dance till it feels like you got a fever. So cold like I'm locked in a freezer. This world is inferno, but I'm immune though. My spirit will live on through my mental till you never have to ask. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Let's party cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. Oh, let's party cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. I don't even know why everybody's tripping for, like, just get drunk and have fun, feel me? No stress, no worries. It doesn't even matter that he hasn't called me tonight, cause I really don't care. I really don't give a shit. Let's just party it up, feel me? I want us to party so hard right now that we don't even remember it the next day, cause you know what? It really doesn't even matter right now. Feel me? Let's go. You guys ready? Let's go. Let's party cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. Oh, let's party cause this will not last forever. No worries, we can do whatever. From January right through to December. Let's make this a night we can't remember. I mean, who's driving again? I certainly can't get you guys home tonight.
Feeling the one drop.
Feeling the one drop.
With a night we can't remember. So this is another band that Skip Viitala is in.
Yeah, I'm their second bassist.
So this you're the
There's only two of us though. So whenever the main bass player can't make it, which is going to be next Saturday, July 23rd, I want to say.
You are right.
We're playing Gladstone Hotel in Toronto. 2 sets, 8 till 10. One set is a bunch of our usual reggae songs that we've written and some Bob Marley covers thrown in. And the other set is the band likes to collaborate with different singers, and so we are bringing in 2 singers for the second set. And we're also doing we're debuting our Ganja Harvest set, which is where we take Neil Young's Harvest album and we reggae-fy it.
Nice.
What a great idea.
So that will be the debut of that. You got to hear it. It is fantastic. It sounds so good. You think Neil Young Harvest reggae?
For sure.
So it's Ganja Harvest, we're calling it,
Ganja
and
Harvest,
come out to the Gladstone Hotel, Toronto, Saturday the 23rd.
Wonderful. And is By the Beach also by that band?
No, feelingtheonedrop.ca is their website.
Feelingtheonedrop.ca.
They've got lots of gigs coming up too that I can't remember.
You know, I want to know about how you manage your rehearsal schedule with all these performances. I can't even imagine. Do you do much rehearsing? Do you do much rehearsing?
There's an app for that. The Alice Funk doesn't rehearse. Neither does my punk band, the Mighty Bends. Well, we only rehearse when there's like the night before a show. You know,
Skills.
Those things are great. You know, feeling the one drop is pretty tight. We do rehearse. There's horns, there's keys, there's singers, different singers. You know, we got to be
Really?
all
So
be
is it
on
like
the
5,
same
6
page.
piece outfit?
Oh, it's I would say it's 9.
9.
Oh my gosh.
So more than one horn.
Yeah, trombone, sax, sometimes trumpet. Then there's
Beautiful.
Yeah.
2 guitars, keys, bass, drums, and another percussionist, plus whoever's singing. So we're looking
We gotta
at.
go to one of these. What is it? Feeling the one drop? Feelingtheonedrop.ca.
So yeah, I got to check that.
We're
out.
going.
Yeah, for sure. There's a band out of Parkdale called KC and the Live Revolution that also has 3 horns and keys of 70s, and it's really great.
Yeah.
It gives a texture that a straight ahead rock band can have.
As a musician, I sit there in our jam room and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm hearing what I'm hearing. I'm just playing, because reggae is a lot of, it's a combination of people doing a lot of simple things over and over again to create a mood, a style. And so, I'm just laying down the bass line and, the drummer's just doing his one drop and the guitarist is just doing the and there's another guy just laying down simple licks, right? And everything comes together and the horns are just playing a simple horn line and then, everything combines to create that groove and it's just fantastic to be a part of. And you're just sitting there, hitting the simple bass line and you're just like, wow, I'm so lucky to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's the magic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Having fun.
We are plumb out of time, but we're going to go out of here with By the Beach, and this is not Feeling the One Drop. This is...
No!
So who's By the Beach?
It's Pretty, the band that I got whiff of online early May, I want to say. The singer had released an album back in September and was dying to do a show and just was not able to get a band together. And this was already May. And he was just so frustrated. And he just said, he heard that a bar in Toronto had an opening for a band. And he said, my band will do it. Here's our demo. And he had the album recorded. And the band at the bar said, of course, yes. But he didn't have a band. And so I caught whiff of it on Facebook, and he was looking for a drummer still, and it was the week before the show, and I didn't have a date. I was open that night. I can drum. Sure enough, we got together a few times, a couple rehearsals, and boom, did the show, and he was so elated, and I was just so happy for him, and it was just so nice to help someone out like that.
How did you know he could play? Were you aware of the style of music that he was doing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of these things I can play, but it's another thing. What if they've been speed metal?
I listened to it first, make sure I could do it.
We've been in conversation with Skip Viitala. Skip, thank you so much for coming. It was a real pleasure
my
meeting
pleasure.
you.
Let's do this again.
Love the songs, and what an interesting and eclectic.
We just touched the iceberg.
Collection.
We need a Skip Viitala Part 2 edition.
Taylor was saying we could have done a 2-hour show easy on this. Thanks again. And Taylor, who do we have on next week?
Next week we actually don't have a show because it's July 20th. We don't have a show next week.
Oh, it's our highlight show
yes.
where we're going to be hearing some more of this.
And then the following week we have a local band called Bar Trek coming in.
Right on. Oh, Bar Trek.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen them. They're very good.
Yes, they're very good.
We've played with them, I think.
Yes, you have.
Okay, so don't forget to tune in next week for the July highlight show. And we're going to take you out of here with By the Beach by Pretty featuring Skip Viitala on bass. This is Arts Talk on 102.7 Chop FM.
By the beach, out where the cold is out of reach. I wanna live out by the beach, in nice and bleached t-shirt and ragged old jeans. Shack out next to sea, man, that's where you'll find me. I'll be there, but I won't need. All alone in the city, so why not the heat? up by the beach, out where the cold is out of reach. I wanna live up by the beach, in my sun bleached t-shirt and ragged old jeans.